yourself a cold one.
They strike 'em, huh?
And listen to Ross Tucker break down the top college prospects on another tasty edition of The College Draft.
Yeah, it is finally here. It is draft week 2025. Get fired up. You have come to the right place. It's the College Draft Podcast. As a reminder, you can go back. You still have time. It's Monday. The first round of the draft isn't until Thursday. You have time to do a couple things. You can go back and either listen or watch all the previous episodes of the College Draft. We go position by position with the terrific rankings from my guy, Emory Hunt. You can check him out on social media at FBall Game Plan on Twitter. He's got a very popular YouTube page, Football Game Plan. We, by the way, are on YouTube as well, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. And the draft guide. That's the other thing you can do. You don't want to go back and listen or watch all the other episodes? That's a bummer for me, but I get it. Just go to footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide. You have plenty of time to go ahead and read through it. And mark my words, okay? Wait till day 3 of the draft. There will be guys that get drafted, and there will be people on television getting paid that won't really know that much about them. They'll speak in platitudes or whatever. Emory has a report on these guys that you can read instantly. And I guarantee nobody will have better scouting reports than Emory on all the undrafted players your team signs on Saturday after the draft, as well as the free agent tryout guys. So you could be the most informed Jaguars fan or Texans fan or Broncos fan out there. You could be on the Reddit telling all the other fans about the guys that your team just got because you have Emory's draft guide, footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide. This is going to be a fun show. I don't know if we've ever done this before. Of course, we're going to talk about the corners because we hadn't gotten to the corners yet. So we'll get Emory's top corners, the boundary, the field. He'll explain the difference like he does every year, the slot. We'll get into that part of it. But also, Emory and I are going to dive into the players that we would stand on the table for, the players that we love, and we really, really think it'd be a home run if your team drafted them. Because I think that's fun. I think that's the most fun part of the draft is like, who are the guys that we really like? I should probably mention I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman. Obviously, you can check out Greg Cosell on today's Ross Tucker Football Podcast. We talked DBs to wrap up the draft series with Greg as well. Wednesday's Ross Tucker Podcast will probably be more about me just talking about some of the news going on around the draft. You can also check me out at Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker Pod on social. All right, Emory, let's start with the corners. And, okay, so this is really interesting. And I think a lot of our listeners know this, but maybe not. In college football, all the coaches ever talk about is either a field corner or a boundary corner. They don't even describe them in any other way. In the NFL, they don't talk about it like that as much. Now, some still do, but not as much because the hashes are more narrow, and so teams in the NFL play it more left and right than they do field and boundary. But I will let you explain, Emory, for the people that are not as familiar.
Yeah, and you touched on it. It's the fact that in college, we know there's a field and boundary side. And even in that case, I may be looking at it as an inverse because the field corner to me is the one that plays the wide side of the field. But some coaches may say that is the boundary side, right? But the boundary side to me is closer to the boundary, which is the sideline. And we know in the pro game, it's just outside or inside corner, right? Outside corner or slot corner. So there's no boundary or field side. But in my brain, in my mind of thinking this, the boundary corner is a guy that I look at as the one that can guard the X receiver, the number one guy on the opposing offense that doesn't really need as much safety help, but also is very good in press coverage. The field corner, I think, is the guy that is the better athlete of the two. That can either cover, man to man, or can play off coverage really well, but is the better athlete, probably the faster of the two. And the slot corner is that's just self-explanatory. That's a guy that plays inside, that can cover, has great agility, probably moves a lot like a point guard, can mirror and match guys, and is a very good open field tackler because he's going to have to be, because he's always in the mix of the run game.
It's interesting. I want to start there, actually. It was last weekend, maybe, where the Texans gave Jalen Petrie a new big deal, and the Bears gave Kyler Gordon a new big deal, Emory, which is further evidence of just how important the nickelback position is at every level, especially the NFL. Like, those guys are asked to do more than anybody else on the defensive side of the ball, way more. And you saw how important it was, like Cooper DeJean for the Eagles. I mean, you get a guy that's really a baller at that spot, that makes a big difference for a defense.
And everybody it's fascinating, because the reason why it's such a highly, thought of position, because of what you talked about, people just automatically assume the slot guy is a shorter guy. We can take advantage of him. We're going to, try to run his way, but so that's why you have to have guys that are fearless, that are smart. Football IQ has to be paramount, and guys that have the quickness to make adjustments on the fly. It's, again, I always like to use this comparison. It's like running around in a New York City train station. When you got to get your train, like, you got to navigate through a lot of bodies, you know what I'm saying, to get to the gate. And those slot corners have to navigate through the entire middle of the field with all the linemen, all the trash, to get to the other side. And the good ones are able to anticipate, and navigate through that while also being able to make a tackle if need be.
All right, let's start with your boundary corners, Emory. And actually, you know what? Why would I even do that? Let's start with your slot corner. I'm doing it because that's how you send them to me in the email. But why don't we're talking slot corners. Let's do slot corners. Let's change it up. All right, slot corners. Number 1, Jabbar Muhammad from Oregon. Number 2, Nikko Reed from Oregon. Number 3, Jacob Parrish from Kansas State. So right now, everybody's like, how do you have 2 guys from Oregon with the first 2?
Man, listen, I am shocked, Ross, that we're not hearing a ton about Jabbar Muhammad and how well he can play. And in my first line of my scout report, I said he could probably play for Nolan Richardson and be an excellent defensive point guard. 95 feet of basketball, 94 feet of basketball, hell, right? That's what they call it. So that's how sticky he is in man-to-man coverage, and how he's able to really leverage his superb quickness and agility to stay in the hip pocket, and he plays through the football. Just outstanding coverage ability, ideally what you want in a nickel guy. He doesn't, and I say he doesn't plant and accelerates, he plants and explodes. There's a difference, and if you see it on film, I'm shocked that he's not talked about as one of the top corners in his class. And again, his teammate plays really well. Nikko Reed, another one, didn't do no postseason events, no All-Star game, no combine, and has been phenomenal. He has the same level of explosiveness and agility, and you could tell he loves the game by how he competes every play. And Kansas State, we talked about this before, sight unseen. Kansas State defender, sign me up. Parrish, he has cat-like quickness, the springiness, was excellent at the Senior Bowl, showed all explosiveness at the combine. Another one of these guys that you could just plug and play.
Boundary corner, again, these are the guys that typically are a little bit bigger, better in press coverage, better in man-to-man coverage. There are a lot of times in college football isolated into the boundary because the wide side of the field is so wide, there's so much space to cover. And that's usually where the 3 receiver set is, or the extra receivers. So you want guys that are fast, that can cover more space over there. So for boundary corner number 1, you have is it Shavon Revel from East Carolina?
Yes.
And he's the guy that would probably even be going higher, but got hurt, right?
Yeah, tore his ACL against App State, or in practice of the App State, after the App State game. But the App State game is what he had a pick six. He had all kind of plays in that game. He's 6'2", 195, and would have blistered a 40 because you can see how fast he is and how fast he runs. And it's the closing speed and acceleration combined with the ball skills that makes him amazing. And because he can press, he has long arms, knows how to use them. He's the typical matchup guy. Put him on the best receiver and just go play ball. Now, again, he's coming off the ACL injury. And as much as we like to think like a video game, so he's out for this amount of time, he's going to bounce back and be exactly what he was before. Adrian Peterson's return from ACL kind of ruined how we view ACL recovery. Not everybody's the same. So you hope that he gets back, because if he does, this was going to be a top 10 pick. And someone still is going to take him in the first round, because I'm pretty sure he's on track to really be ready for training camp. But I would even take it slow for him in his rookie season, just to know that I'm getting the best version of Revel returning from injury.
Number 2, Trey Amos from Ole Miss, and 3, Nohl Williams from Cal.
I need to start throwing my weight around with this NIL money, Ross, because Trey Amos was a Louisiana Raging Cajun that, left the program. And how many pros that we have that have left the program? I can go on and on. Tyrus Torrance with the Florida. Montrell Jordan went to Florida. Imani Bailey with the TCU. Bro, that's pros right there. You know what I'm saying? All Raging Cajuns. So Amos, of course he can ball. And a very good technically sound corner too. Good press skills, good physicality. Really developed more so this year than he did in his previous season at Alabama. So I'm glad he's playing his best ball going in. And also Nohl Williams, kick return ability. Punt return ability. So you have that in his bag. That's going to get him on the field very early as a rookie. But he has good press skills, good ability to mirror and match. And the ball skills are there. And that's why I'm always going to gamble on those guys that could, play the ball in the air and turn it over at a high clip.
I talked about this on today's Ross Tucker podcast as well. Big fan of Huel. Just found out about him. New customers, you can visit Huel.com/draft today and use my code DRAFT to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Listen, it actually tastes pretty good. It tastes like a milkshake, which is not the case when you're usually getting 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, but still low in sugar. It is a perfectly balanced meal designed by nutrition experts, takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. New customers, again, I'm telling you, Huel.com/draft today. Use my code DRAFT to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Get your macros in, Black Edition, ready to drink. It's a meal in a bottle. 2 things I really like: drinking Labatt Blue Light and getting free stuff for drinking Labatt Blue Light or doing something I was already going to do anyway. That's the deal with rewards.labattusa.com. It's called Buy Beer, Get Gear. Whenever and wherever you buy Labatt, just make sure you take a picture of the receipt and then upload it to rewards.labattusa.com. Then you can start to get sweet gear like that mini fridge. That's amazing. Rewards.labattusa.com. Nohl Williams, did you say this, Emory? Did he transfer?
He did. UNLV.
Yeah, I remember him. I remember doing a game of his at UNLV. That's what I thought that sounded familiar. All right, field corner. These are kind of the guys that the names that people have heard more. Travis Hunter from Colorado, you might have heard of him. Will Johnson, Michigan, and Robert Longerbeam, I love that last name, from Rutgers.
Hunter is self-explanatory, man. I even think we can unlock more Travis Hunter potential defensively as a pro. Because let's say ideally he goes to the Giants at number 3. Well, they bring in Paulson Adebo. They already have Tay Banks and a nickel corner, Drew Phillips, as a really good player. Where is he going to play? He's going to play in the secondary. Why? Why not have him play back deep as a safety and just roam and go get the ball? which is what you want to do because you don't want to take your top 3 corners off the field. He can also be a game day matchup piece because of his athleticism. If you have say you're playing Detroit, you need somebody to match up versus Amon-Ra St. Brown in the middle, throw Travis Hunter on there and now force Jared Goff to go outside as opposed to going to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So Travis Hunter defensively is great because, again, why would you throw his way when you are literally throwing to a wide receiver? He may even go and track and run the route better than the receiver and catch the ball. That's why his potential as a defensive back is still unlimited. And we talked about Will Johnson all throughout the season. I feel like people forget how good he is because he was banged up, played 6 games, I believe. And so every time you look up, he has the ball in his hands. And because his ability to play off coverage, plant, accelerate, go get the ball, and playing in a Wink Martindale scheme, we know he loves to, Wink Martindale might leave a kid at a shopping mall and trust that the kid's going to be all right. That's how much he trusts his cornerbacks out there on an island. Will Johnson is a very good football player and is going to go high in the first round. And we also talked about Longerbeam, Kansas State, sight unseen, Rutgers, same way, Ross. Ever since Greg Schiano has gotten back to Rutgers, I found myself adding more and more talented defenders in the draft guide based off what I'm seeing on film. Like, yo, how is no one talking about Longerbeam, and how is this guy not talked about as one of the top corners? He was at the Shrine game, but he's a terrific man-to-man corner, and we know Schiano has produced and developed these guys ready to go from day one to be very good pros. Max Melton was the guy last year that we were high on before anybody else, and he went out there and played really well as a rookie, high round pick.
So the thing that's interesting is usually, I guess I think of like the boundary corner as being the better guy. You know what I mean? Like the guy that's like your man-to-man lockdown guy. So I guess I'm a little bit curious that you don't have Travis Hunter and Will Johnson as boundary guys, especially Johnson, because he's not considered the fleetest of foot, right?
But he has good instincts and good quickness, so he anticipates well. And playing the field side, you saw he plays off coverage better than some guys can play off coverage. A lot of guys, and I found this was a pet peeve of mine too, as I was grading corners. And I hit up some of my NFL friends that played corners, like, bro, what's your thoughts on bail technique? And it was like, one guy said, if it's played correctly, I like it. But another guy was like, I hate it. Because guys are either playing too far off and there's nothing but short hitches, you giving up so many doggone yards and receptions. And now you're putting more pressure on you making a tackle. But Will Johnson can do a good job of playing just enough away, but can plant and go back and go make the play. So I like Will Johnson as a field guy because he can play off. He shows some good athleticism, even though he's not the fleet of foot. It's an ability to understand where his limitations are and make those adjustments accordingly.
Sleepers are slot cornerback Jordan Clark from Notre Dame, field corner Carlin Vigors from ULM, and slot corner Keon Martin from Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns.
Let's start with America's team first. Keon Martin is an outstanding corner. Ignore 170 pounds. He ran 4.3. He's a click and close type guy. He plays through the football. He's an active player around the ball, good ball skills, ball instincts. Carlin Vigors had a great Hula Bowl, 6'2", about 190, outstanding length and athleticism, can mirror and match. Go watch ULM's game against Texas, and you'll see how good Carlin Vigors is. And we know the Texas receivers have 3 guys that are going to be drafted. And you talked about Jordan Clark. The last name sounds familiar. Hey, another son that's playing that's going to the NFL, and Ryan Clark's son. And I think people are sleeping on how good of a slot defender Jordan Clark is. Veteran guy, played a lot of football, but you understand the football instincts. I love how he played against Louisville. That was a big game, in my opinion. And they played a lot of big games, although deep into the postseason. But the Louisville game, I was like, man, why are people not talking enough about the instincts and football awareness of Jordan Clark?
Small school guys. You got Kendall Paul in the slot from East Texas A&M. You got the field corner Kendarius Smith from Nichols and boundary corner James Burgess from Alabama State.
Burgess is outstanding, 6'3", Ross, 195, good man-to-man corner. Saw him at the HBCU Legacy Bowl. Also saw him at the Hula Bowl. So got 2 live performances for him. That Alabama State secondary was phenomenal last 2 seasons. He also talked about these guys that Kendall Paul, East Texas A&M, formerly Texas A&M Commerce. He ran that 4.2 on the pro day, but you go watch their game against San Diego State. Played all over the field. He could tackle. He's aggressive. He's going to be someone that's going to find his way getting drafted on day 3. And Kendarius Smith, I saw at the FCS Bowl, saw at the Tropical Bowl. He's a field guy, but he's 5'8". Every time I looked up at those All-Star games I was at, he was lockstep with these receivers going deeper down the field. That I was shocked that he came in at 5'8". I kept looking down at my roster like, there's no way he's 5'8". But yeah, he's 5'8", but he plays bigger than his size and was always around the ball. And one of the last gifts of college football that we got from Coach Tim Rebowe that retired after the season. Rebowe knows defensive backs, and this is another good one.
Let's talk about some of our favorite guys, Emory, in the draft. It's only a few days away. Just some guys that, man, they might not be first rounders even. They might not be top 10 picks, but guys that you would love if your team drafted. I'll give you a couple that jump out to me. Number 1, Tyler Warren from Penn State. So I watched him in high school as a quarterback, and then they'd run the Wildcat or he'd run, and he's a monster. And then sometimes when they get down in the red area, they bring in the backup quarterback. They would put Tyler at X receiver and throw him a fade ball to score a touchdown. His dad told him to wear number 44 because of John Riggins. That's it. That's all I needed to know. I don't even need to know anything else. He's from Mechanicsville, Virginia, okay? If you're from if it sounds like Mechanicsville and your dad has you wear 44 for John Riggins, you're good with me. I'm good with that guy. And let me just tell you this. He's got more there as a blocker because he's going to fill out even more, and he's very willing to do it. He likes to do it. He likes to block. He's going to end up being a terrific, terrific player. Another guy I like both as a player and in person, Tyler Booker from Alabama. Guys like that make it. First of all, on the field, he's trying to put you down. He's trying to finish you and beat you up. But also, I met him at the Duke Manifield and the O-line masterminds. He's just a great kid. I mean, he just lights up the room. All the other offensive linemen, they all followed him around wherever he went. He was the alpha. I'm just telling you, those O-linemen make it. The guys everybody else follows around, and also the guys that physically are trying to punish people, they have successful NFL careers. So those are 2.
I give you one of my favorite. I'm a big Brady Cook fan, man. I just love the way Brady Cook, quarterback out of Missouri, plays the game. I said this before. It reminds me so much of what Andy Dalton was like at TCU when he led that team to the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin, that magical season. Brady Cook is super tough. Shedeur Sanders is toughness A1. Brady Cook is toughness A1A. You know what I'm saying? Because both of these guys took a beating, kept coming back, and Brady Cook I would gamble on as being a very good NFL quarterback. And outside of that, Ross, listen, we talked about Carson Swessinger, the linebacker of UCLA. I just love how, give me those linebackers that look to hit, that look to tackle, that look to make the big play. Swessinger was always playing on the right side of the line of scrimmage, making the play that needed to be made in the timing. And some small school guys, I was impressed just by how the Division III players really elevated their stock. We talked about Mitchell Van Voren, the tight end out of St. Norbert, who had 1 year of football to play, and he did because he was a 400-meter hurdler. We talked about Thomas Burke, the tight end from the College of New Jersey, who had a great all-star game circuit. Jaden St. Alfano from Cortland, a guy that was a 1,000-yard receiver, moved to running back his last season, became a 1,000-yard running back. So the versatility and the elevation of Division III football to where we're seeing guys just have great success. I'm always a fan of those guys as well. But man, Brady Cook, Swessinger, sign me up for those guys 10 times out of 10, bro.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple more. Gray Zabel, North Dakota State, O-lineman. Seen him play tackle. Seen him play center and guard at the Senior Bowl. He's good at all of them. Those are all the offensive line positions that we have. They're not inventing anymore. Center, guard, and tackle. The guy is good at all of them. That's a pretty good sign. How about Jack Besh?
Yes.
From TCU. Dude, that guy, watching him, he's going to be he's going to get drafted by McVay and the Rams, in the 4th round. And we're going to be like, how did they get that guy in the 4th round? Like a Puka Nacua situation, like a Cooper Kupp situation. Big fan of Jack Besh. And what he just gets the ball. He's got the body and he gets the ball. One other guy, surprised not getting more love. Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. Mm-hmm. I know people don't love him or whatever. I'm just telling you, guys like that make it. Guys like that figure out a way to make it. And you said, whoever you were talking about, that makes big plays and big moments, that's all Sawyer did, was in the big games when they need him to. He made big play after big play when Ohio State needed him to. Speaking of big plays, today's big play for you guys, footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide. I can't highly recommend it enough. It will greatly enhance your draft the entire weekend. You will love having that PDF. He's at FBall Game Plan on Twitter. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. The keg is kicked. We are all tapped out. Enjoy the draft, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to College Draft. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Even Money, and Fantasy Feast, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.